We are live. Hello, everybody. Karibuni tena. Dindy, so nice to see you, as always.
Good to see you too, Rhoda.
And today it's a big one, eh? Today is a big one.
I wore pink for this.
This is pink. Deep down, it's pink. Yeah,
I see. Just I see.
But you see how it can be a flower or it can be matogodanio. It is for the things that happen after gender-based violence. It can be matogodanio or it can be a flower. That's what I was going for.
This calls for my pink pen.
The pink pen is out. It's out.
Pen is out. Oh. Yeah, it's a big one.
I know. Today we are talking about the 16 days of activism.
Yes.
Sorry. Today we are talking about the 16 days of activism. Something that has been close to our hearts since, gosh, what, 5 years? More than 5 years. But then for 5 years we were loud about it. We still are.
Yes.
I mean, see us here. And wow. Yes. So, Dindi, Twende, what is this 16 days for? Activism against what now? Tell us.
Let me first tell you, Rhoda. I think the first time I heard about gender-based violence, I don't recall where, I can't remember where I heard it, but then it stuck in my mind. That, wait, there can be violence that can be meted out to someone because of their gender, like
purely
because you're female, purely because you're male. You know, it's, for me, and that's why I think it's a very good idea to actually have 16 days of commemorating, discussing, debating about such a huge, big, deeply impacting topic like this. And so, yes, 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Here we are.
Yes, and you know what? Because all of these days have a theme. All international days have a theme. I like this year's theme, and I hope it carries on across the many years. 16 issues, 16 days. Like every day, you think about a certain form of gender-based violence. You think about it, you look into it, you become aware of it, you look out for it, and not just for the 16 days. The 16 days are like the beginning of that, if you've not been involved, but the beginning of that journey of asking yourself, what do I do about this, and how do I do it? I will ask you a question or two, but first I want to say to everybody, thank you. One, thank you so much for joining us. Two, when you look at gender-based violence, whatever form, don't ever say that, oh, no, that one can't happen to me. Don't ever say, who does that? Don't ever say, I don't feel like getting involved with that. As we don't do that. See, man, we've evolved. Because of this, there's this proverb. I don't know if I will be able to remember it well, but it says, do not laugh at the boat in the distance that is being tossed in the sea. Your brother could be in it. Don't laugh at that boat. Don't say, oh, Kwani, they didn't prepare. Oh, Kwani, what? Oh, it was their fault. They didn't have life jackets. Oh, they didn't, what? Did they look at the storm? Your brother could be in it. And when someone you know is in it, someone who's close to you is in it, it changes. It changes. And we just go back to the current pandemic now. Well, there are so many pandemics, but the most loud one right now, COVID, we probably didn't think much when we said, oh, China, ay. Anyway, tunakula nini leo? Yes. You know?
Yeah.
And here we are.
And in fact, people are actually saying that there is a second pandemic that's currently going on. One that that many people do not want to talk about, or would rather just keep it on the down low, and that's gender-based violence. That's violence that's happening in the home.
Yes.
That's violence happening all around us, and it's shadowing COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's come up. It's been, what's the word? It's been made much louder because of COVID. And I mean, I can tell you for sure that this whole season since March, I have come across very, very sad cases of different forms of gender-based violence. And Rhoda,
you are in child protection. You are in child protection.
Yes.
How is it like out there? In light of gender-based violence,
Rhoda,
bring the reality home for us.
You know something. I think when we talk about gender-based violence, sometimes for many people it seems like a very far-fetched idea. It's one of those things you talk about. It's HIV. Yeah, we know about HIV, and people out there get it until a family member or a friend goes through it, until you actually witness something happening very close to you. That's when you realize, oh my goodness,
yes,
it can actually happen. And when it comes to child protection, I think we first realized the extent of it for most people during that time. I think it was in the month of June, or was it July, when it was actually July, when the children officer in Machakos came about and said, reported that there were over 4,000 girls who had been impregnated.
Yes.
Yeah. And I remember thinking to myself, what do you mean 4,000 girls have been impregnated?
Yes.
It's not 4,000 girls who've been impregnated. Let me tell you.
Yes, I remember that. It was like, wow, what do you mean 4,000?
Yeah.
What do you mean 4,000? Do you mean 400 maybe?
Yeah.
What do you mean 4,000?
And for me, it wasn't even about the number, Rhoda. It was about the way it was reported. It was about the way it was reported. Because let's just dive right into it, okay?
Yes, just
according to the Sexual Offences Act, a minor cannot give consent to any sexual activities when they find themselves having a sexual activity having been done on them, whether it is the sexual act itself, whether it is touching, calling, an attempt of any of those. That is then defined as defilement, attempted defilement, sexual assault, things like that, because a child cannot consent to any sexual activity. So when I had that report, 4,000 girls have been impregnated, first of all, yes, that number was very big. And in my mind, I thought to myself, that means that's just the reported cases. How many unreported cases are there? That's number one. Number two, let's talk about the boys. Because if we're going to report that there are 4,000 girls that have been impregnated, then we should actually report that there are 4,000 boys who impregnated girls. And it's not just boys that impregnated girls, because children cannot give consent to sexual activity. It is 4,000 girls that were defiled, or 4,000 boys that defiled girls. 4,000 girls who then, as a result, became pregnant. And I kept on looking at the papers and reports, and I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah, so where are these 4,000 girls? what will happen to them? Because now they've become young mothers or teenage mothers. So, and where are these boys? And there's so many things that went through my mind, Rhoda. I thought to myself, wow.
I honestly didn't think about boys. I thought about males in terms of, I thought about adult males.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, wait, what have we become as human beings? You know, when you watch National Geographic and you come across these animals that eat their young, you know, and you look at them like, how do you do that? Like, ew, you know, right? But that's what I thought about, because this is happening at home. These are brothers, these are cousins, these are fathers. And I thought to myself, wait, stop the count. What is happening there? And you know, fine, apart from the child being born, which in itself is another reality, right?
Yes.
Is another reality. What happens to that relationship in the family? What happens to that unity, that setup? What happens? You know, and Dindi, you are in child protection. I am in counseling, right? And I know I did meet several cases, many, let me not call them several, like they are a handful, many cases where someone says that my father defiled me, then defiled my two sisters. You know, like it's something he did. Or my brother defiled me, or is now approaching my sister. And the thing is, because it's within the family and then it is unreported, right? These pedophiles, they just, nyama iko tu hapo hivyo, nyama iko tu hapo hivyo, you know, they just, you don't even have to go for a hunt. You just, it's right there. And there are so many cases. I remember one time a lady brought her child because her child had been defiled. And her pain, when she was brought to me, she said, the referral said, she is more traumatized than the child. So I thought, let me investigate her trauma. Turns out she was defiled and her mother didn't do anything about it. And she ended up running away from home. And she had worked so hard to protect her children from a similar fate. And guess what? The fate came home. And for her, it just opened up a whole host of so many other evils, you know. And that's what, you know, we can't ignore. We can't say this is my uncle, this is my father, this is my brother. We can't say this is my boss. We can't say this is my friend. We can't say this is the son of an important person. We can't say I am too weak and they are too strong. Against any form of gender-based violence, we can't just say you should have dressed better, or you shouldn't have showed up at night, or you shouldn't have been drunk, or you shouldn't have. We just can't say that. It doesn't ride. It's no longer riding. But we've gone ahead of ourselves, Dindi.
We have, haven't we?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
0 to 100.
Yeah, that's what, there's no other way of doing it. You just go.
Maybe we should start with who is Legalese Africa, who is Suruvi Homecare Services, and what is this? What are these 16 issues we are talking about? And we just scuba diving gear. We just
You know, it reminds me of have you ever tried to leash a dog? I have a dog, and it's right there. It just and then the moment you remove the leash, go on. That's us. We're like, what? Introduction for who? Y'all know us. Next stop, Kasipul Bondo.
Right, Legalese Africa. Hi.
Legalese Africa. you know, it's interesting. Yeah. So, well, my name is Ndindi Nganga, and I am founder and CEO of Legal Ease Africa. We are a team of legal practitioners, not only legal practitioners, but also other professionals. And what's our main mission? Our main mission is to make the law accessible and easier for everybody. The name Legal Ease is a play on the word legalese. Legalese means a lot of legal jargon, and therefore Legal Ease is the opposite of legalese. Therefore, our role is to ease the law for you, for everybody. And that's what we do. We are all about information sharing and accessibility to the law. That's what we do.
Yes.
And
yeah. Suruvi Home Care Services, happy to be part of the Legal Ease Africa, like a partner collaborator, because legal psychological issues, we are in the same boat that we are talking about. We are in the same boat that people don't go to advocates or to lawyers because they're having a birthday party. There's something not right with the birthday party. And they did that. And we offer psychological support services to caregivers. Anybody who is caring for another, who is unable to carry on their daily activities of life, of living, because they have a condition, because they have a disability, because they have an illness, because they have something, a disease that's stopping them from doing that. And for today's, and we offer counseling, personal development workshops, we just helping caregivers manage compassion fatigue through intentional self-care. That's what we do. And so for today, now that we're talking about gender-based violence, is because caregivers, they're part of the demographic. Child taking care of a parent, spouse taking care of their partner, and still facing violence. Girls who have been brought to be house help, but really they are caregivers, and they're still receiving workplace harassment. They are, being stigmatized. There's all forms. Didn't take us through the forms of gender violence, but caregivers are in there. And so today we are talking about 16 days of activism and no against gender-based violence, not just against women and girls. Any violence that comes to you based on your gender, because you're a boy, because you're a man, because you're a woman, because you're a girl, that is what we are talking about. And we want to invite everybody, the entire community of humanity. Do not laugh at the distant world. Do not hide yourself. So we talk about if it's not you, it's a relative, or one of your children, who will, if it doesn't happen directly to them, the secondary survivors, they'll marry someone who has, had to live through, or they will live with someone who has had to live through some form of violence meted against them. So we need to be one voice. We need to be one muscle pulling in the same direction against gender-based violence. Now, 16 issues, 16 days. Dindi.
Yes.
Let's name the issues. There's domestic violence.
Yes. There's femicide.
Femicide. Yes.
Your turn.
All right. Child marriage.
Yes. There is female genital mutilation.
There's female genital mutilation. There is sexual assault.
Yes. There is cyberbullying or cyber harassment.
There's workplace harassment.
There is how do I put it? Harassment due to menstrual hygiene management.
I am so glad that has been put there.
I know.
am so glad that we're talking about reproductive health. It's not hashed down female things, mambo ya wanawake.
Mambo ya masaibu ya wanawake.
Masaibu ya wanawake. Is it because of that time of the month and all those other?
And how we always, everything is blamed on our uterus. Everything. Oh, you're annoyed. Oh, you're happy. Is it that time of the month?
And all of them, nothing good. They don't say there's nothing for, oh, you're glowing. Oh, you're achieving. Is it because of your uterus? It's not because who won the presidency? Is it because of your uterus? No, it's all you're underachieving, you're having a bad day, you are something, you're passionate about something that is going on that is bad. Oh, she must be on, it must be that time, she must be ovulating, she must be. How many have you mentioned?
8.
Violence against refugees.
I was gonna say that one. 9, equivalence. Number 10. Oh, we're doing so well. Number 10. What have we missed out?
HIV/AIDS pandemic.
Yes, HIV/AIDS pandemic. 10.
Disability-based
stigmatization.
What?
Disability-based stigmatization and harassment.
Yes, there's that one. Yes. Let me stop looking together. Let me say go to my Kenya. What have I said? Disability-based violence against children, survivors, against youth, against sports. There are some that I'm not too sure about here.
I feel like we're missing
amongst youth. Which one? Workplace harassment, children, survivors among youth, violence in sports.
Violence in sports?
Yes, violence in sports. I think we named them all. Yeah.
Yes, we have. I think we've named them all too. Yeah. 12. Sorry, 16. No, we've reached 12.
We've reached 12.
Yes.
All right, let me read through them real fast on my Kenya. Let me read them through real fast.
Okay.
And domestic violence, cyber harassment, femicide, FGM, child marriage, violence against refugees, HIV/AIDS pandemic, violence against HIV epidemic, violence against menstrual health hygiene management.
Yeah.
Disability-based violence, workplace harassment, violence against children, stigma against survivors, violence among youth, violence in sports, sexual violence, and there's this one, I'm not too sure what it means. It says violence through allyship. I don't know what that is. Allyship, ALYSHIP.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Well, time to learn. We have 16 days to learn what that is.
Oh, that is homework for us.
16 days tolerance.
Great. Rhoda, tell me, we have a few new ones that we have not been dealing with previously or that have not been highlighted previously. And we have the ones that are the common forms of violence that we normally discuss, the domestic violence, or what these days we call also encompasses intimate partner violence. We have the child marriage, FGM, we have which other one is a bit of a famous sexual violence, and all those have been the common ones that have been there.
Yes.
And the new ones are those ones: violence in sports, menstrual
against refugees,
hygiene management, yes, violence against refugees. Those are new ones that have come up. And I think one of the things about what I really like about each of those issues that have been highlighted is the fact that each of them are being given an audience. In other words, we're saying that, you know what, this has been happening. They're the old generic, the usual generic ones that have been there. But then it's almost like now we've realized, oh my gosh, there are so many other forms of violence that have been happening and we have not been highlighting them. So we've just been sweeping them under the rug like, apana, your sports, see what were your sports, they see they'll go through mediation and they'll sort it out. See what I too.
Yes, you know, na wako na pesa anyway.
Yeah. Na how refugees wataangaliwa na serikali or something like that. And then so by doing that, we mask, we cover up, we
normalize it.
Oh my gosh.
And we normalize it.
How we have related to the menstrual hygiene management forms of harassment, because how did we not, every female I know who has begun their periods has gone through some form of embarrassment in relation to her menstrual cycle.
Yes.
And when you talk about the word normalization, Rhoda, it's just, that's exactly it. We have normalized suffering, we have normalized violence.
Yes.
Such that when our daughters start their menstrual periods, we are like, oh my gosh, you know, Mama, just make sure you always have a sweater, because
we teach them to hide. We teach them. We it's like what's the thing when you are when you're joining a cult, you know, we what's the word?
Indoctrinate.
No, we get them into the pact of silence. Not registration. What's that word, man?
You can hear the word, by the way. I can hear it.
Yes, into the pact of silence and be quiet. And these are not things you talk about. And you know, oh Lord. And you know, still thinking about my caregivers because they're so close to my heart. I'm thinking about when you are when your place of work, even if you're a family caregiver, the place where you are caregiving is your place of work. So if your mother-in-law, if your father-in-law is harassing you, that is workplace harassment. If your spouse who has been abusive is still abusive, verbally, physically, emotionally, that is still violence. That is still violence. And sometimes we think to ourselves, unajua, nina haja na hii kazi. If you've been employed, if you have been employed, nina haja na hii kazi, I need this job. So what I will do, I will prepare myself to go and get harassed. You know, so sitaichukua personal, so sitafanya sijui nini, and it is just wrong. It is just wrong. And if we in today's poster we said recognize, report, prevent. All of us, those are things we can do. All of us, in big ways, big loudly ways, or in small ways. You can report child violence against children 116 to the police anonymously. A child can be saved. And when you save a child, a whole future has been saved. Don't just say ni mambo ya kinyumbani, sio mambo ya kinyumbani.
Mambo ya kinyumbani. When they are dead and buried, you know mambo ya kinyumbani sasa.
There's so many clients who have been told, so many of my clients who have been told culturally always kustaki baba yako. Kimila.
Or Rhoda, when something happens to you as a woman, and your husband, for example, beats you up, and then you pack your things and go home, how many women have reported their own mothers and their own fathers telling them,
umekuja kufanya? Si uliolewa. Did you? Sindio? So, yeah.
That should be the 17th form of violence, I think.
I don't even know what it should be called. But quite honestly, I
Violence
don't
from the
know
parents.
if I
Rejection from
could
the
just,
parents.
if
Mm-hmm.
I think, and here's a segment that is coming up a lot in my head, a segment that is coming a lot in my head. If I was God for a day, if I had this power
Yes.
for a day, one of the things I would do is stop. Just restore humanity, softness of heart. Stop with the violence. People can coexist. People can
Yes.
coexist.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if you have a disorder, go see an expert, or be taken to see an expert, because we talk about all kinds of, sexual disorders, we talk about mental disorders, we say sio kupenda kwake anakuanga hivyo. No, hakuangi hivyo. There is
No.
medication to calm you down. There you can be put under supervision. You can be admitted in Mathare. Things can be done. People can be let to know, if you see this guy doing this thing or this lady doing this thing, all of you come forward and stop. All of you come forward and stop. Prevent, report, recognize. Don't give it, because for as long as we call COVID Homa, we shall not wear our masks.
We shall not.
And we shall not practice social distancing. For as
Nope.
long as tunaita Homa, for as long as we normalize violence, we shall not call it violence.
Rhoda, you are just hitting the nail on the head, especially when it comes to what are we normalizing.
Yes.
You remember that time, Rhoda, you and I held a change of perspective session for some of our clients, where we realized, or we recognized the fact that many times some people talk very loosely.
Yes.
And that talk forms opinions, and those opinions are very dangerous. For example, I can maybe I'm a little girl walking to school wearing a normal dress, and I pass by a man and he says "Sasa siste," and I ignore them, and then he tells me something like, kwani unajifanya hivyo, unajua nyinyi wanawake, unajua nyinyi wewe msichana pia wewe utazeeka. Because where did that man learn, first of all, how to harass a little small girl? Number two, what is this perception that's driving him to do that? What is this that has been normalized in his life? What is this talk? Yeah. In fact, I was listening to a good friend of mine. Her name is Tina Lai, and she was talking about something about a word that has just been bothering me, about our unconscious biases. We have unconscious biases. Just like when somebody comes and tells you, my boss, and he's saying that if I don't sleep with him, then and somebody tells you, just do it. If you want to go, that's how all of us chicks get up there anyway. That's how we scale up the ladder anyway. What is this perception that's there? What is this talk that we have normalized? What are these opinions and biases that we have about victims, let me call them victims for now, victims of gender-based violence, about children who undergo various forms of abuse, about menstrual health, about people in sports, about refugees, about persons who have HIV. What are these perceptions that we have? Because then we have normalized those biases.
And you've reminded me two things. One, something that we have been saying to caregivers about self-care. In our compassion fatigue management workshops, one of the things that we've been saying is things come from somewhere. Things come from somewhere. By the time you're saying, oh, there's no sun today, it will be a bad day. Where did that come from? Right? By the time, the second thing that you've made me think about is one of those trainings you're saying about, where there was a huge conversation about consent. About consent. And when did it become okay to assume, because I want to give you a cup of tea. You want a cup of tea. And they struggled. They struggled. And these were people in positions of authority.
Yes.
These were people who legally are called duty bearers. Kazi yao
is to
prevent and protect violence.
And respond.
But they had, and they struggled with consent. But if I bought her a drink and see, then that is consent. If she's come to my house, see, that is consent. If she's a commercial sex worker, I mean, basically, I can do anything I want to do with her. I can beat her up. I can go past my agreed upon arrangement.
Yes, an agreed upon arrangement.
You know, I can do, and she can't report me because anaripotia nani. The same people will ask, unafanyanga kazi gani? Oh, well, wasn't this part of the job then?
Isn't this your JD?
And they struggled. And I remember you, Dindi, trying to explain the cup of tea. And go on.
Perhaps, yeah, let me just, for the sake of our listeners. So the concept about the cup of tea it was created by a lady who's known as Rock Dinosaur Princess. I hope I got that. Her pseudonym is Rock Dinosaur something Princess. I'm forgetting one of them. Rock Dinosaur something Princess. So she came up with a concept about tea, right? About tea. So, Rhoda, if I invite you to have a cup of tea, can you say no to my invitation to you to come and have a cup of tea?
Yes.
No, yes. But yes, you can, isn't it?
Yes, I can say I don't take tea, or I wouldn't want to. I don't want to have tea right now.
Okay, that's okay. What if you actually tell me that you actually accept the invitation to have a cup of tea, and you come in and I brew some tea, but then as soon as I place it in front of you, you're like, actually, I don't want tea.
I apologize for the trouble that I have taken you through of brewing the cup of tea, but then I actually do expect that you will not make me take the cup of tea.
What? Why can't I make you? Why can't I make you? You're the one who made me brew this cup of tea. I will force it down your throat because you made me. Because you said yes to the invitation to have a cup of tea, and then now I brewed. I mean,
but I apologize. I've said sorry, and I have asked. Listen, can I have water? Can I have water instead, please?
No. You said yes to the tea. So you must have the tea. What if last week we had tea, Rhoda?
Yes.
Now I'm like, oh my gosh, I must now go to Rhoda's and take her a cup of tea because last week we had tea. So she must want tea again this week, isn't it?
In fact, she owes me the want to have tea again.
And again.
And again. It's a lie, man. It's a lie.
What if maybe I drank too much tea? I drank too much tea, and honestly, I then became, I fell asleep because I had too much tea. I fell asleep. Mm-hmm. Will you force the tea down my throat? Because, you need to finish.
Said tea.
The said tea.
Hey, can I go to a tea house and not have tea? Ask for a different drink or not drink altogether.
Or not drink altogether. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the concept of the tea. If you and I understand that we cannot force somebody to drink tea, we cannot force them even after they have accepted the invitation to drink tea. that even after maybe they've even drunk a little bit of the tea, they're like, okay, fine, I've had enough. Now stop. That we cannot then come and say, no, 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 no. And then you hold their mouth the way we normally, or we used to, hold the mouth of children.
Yes.
When they're, taking.
You can't force it down.
You can't force it down. So why force somebody to have sex?
Why?
What part of no don't we seem to understand? Is it because you bought them 200 worth of a drink? Okay, maybe all like expensive and stuff. Maybe, okay, you bought them something that was brewed in some cellar, some brewery, and put in a cellar.
3 times distilled. 3 times distilled.
Not twice. 3 times.
3.
You must have my cup of tea.
Yes. What is this? What is this about? If I want, you definitely do. You don't have consent. You don't have an opinion. You don't have dislikes. You don't, because I like tea. You must like tea.
You must like tea also. And that's it, Rhoda. The whole topic about consent is one that I don't know why we feel entitled to people's bodies. We feel entitled to people's opinions. We feel entitled to their decisions, and yet the decision solely lies with the other person.
Yes.
And in fact, Rhoda, you're the one who once told me this. Anything after no is a violation.
Anything after no.
After the word no.
Yes.
Is a violation. All these unconscious biases of, chicks, when they say yes, they mean no. That is also a violation.
It is. It is. And so, you maybe the person going through the violence at that moment is feeling powerless. Maybe they are feeling helpless. Yes. Maybe it caught them unawares. They weren't prepared for it.
Yeah.
But you who is seeing it, you who knows that this is what this boss does, whether the boss is male or female, you who knows the reason why this, I don't do this to everybody, but because Dindi is a refugee,
it's a vulnerable person.
A vulnerable person. She's whatever it is, because you know, then it comes on you to be your brother's keeper, to be your sister's keeper. Yes. You can report. There's witness protection, Dindi, in law, right?
Yes. So in Kenya.
But you can make a report anonymously, right? Yes, you can make a report anonymously somewhere.
Yeah.
At the police station, the chief's place, a person of authority. You can tell a teacher. You can. There are so many avenues of trying to help that if you are keen to help, if you are keen to help, then you can say something. You can even just make a little. And I know Kenyans, we don't do this. We don't do this in the face of violence. And there was a time, I remember there was a conversation that there was a lot of pickpocketing in town. There was a lot of robberies in town, in the CBD. And people were asking, why isn't anybody doing anything? And we were like, sasa nifanye. Sasa nifanye. But
you know something, Rhoda?
Fanya kitu.
Exactly. We're not helpless. We think we're helpless, but we're not.
We're not.
We do have resources all around us. There's a way. Have you ever seen when people actually come up to actually fight for something or to stop something? I mean, they are many times unstoppable. It just requires you to actually do something about it.
Yes.
It perhaps requires you to actually recognize the fact that we are allowed to report cases on behalf of other people.
Yes.
Who have gone through violations. You can go to a police station and report an incident of violence. That's according to the Protection Against Domestic Violence Act. You can report on behalf of a neighbor, on behalf of a friend, on behalf of a relative. You can be
even Protection Against FGM has that, right?
Yes. Well, yes. Actually, the Prevention Against FGM Act states that you are required to report when you hear of an FGM incident taking place, failure to which even you can be held liable.
You knew about it, you did nothing about it.
Yes.
So, 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, 16 days, 16 issues. Read up about them so that then you can recognize them. Prevention. There are organizations, maybe not the police, maybe you're afraid, maybe there's, whatever, but the organizations that you can report. You can put it on and kudos to everybody who has ever put something up on Twitter and it went viral, or Facebook and it went viral and it got people caught and answerable for what it is they were doing. We can be our brother's keeper. There are, I don't know how many communities have this Nyumba Kumi actively going on. But if you do, if in your place that is going on, you can report. All that is required. They say words have consequences, silence as well. It has consequences. And there's this other quote, what it takes for evil to abound is good people to be quiet about it.
Right. Yes, that's true. That's true.
And I know for sure in Kikuyu, there is something that says there's no, this is very loose translation, there's no stealer and looker. When there's a theft going on, you cannot say, I didn't steal, but then you saw it happening. What did you do about it? What did you do about it? And so you can easily become an accessory because you knew about a violence, you knew about a crime, and you did nothing about it. There's no stealer and looker.
And looker.
Oh, looker. There's no stealer and looker. You saw it, you know about it, do something about it.
Yeah, yes, even as we're concluding this, just to reiterate to everybody, like Rhoda has said, there's no looker and
there's no stealer and looker. You can't be stealing, and me, I'm just looking, and then I say, oh, yes, you're an accessory.
But three things that we just need to remember. Number one, you have the power to consent, and when somebody gives you their answer, you have an obligation to follow what they have.
Respect consent.
Exactly. You're supposed to. You are obligated to respect consent. Number one. Number two, believe the survivors. When somebody comes to you and reports a case to you, please help them to report it. Help them to seek for help.
Tomorrow, granted, they are fake ones, but start off with believing and then be proven wrong.
Yes. And then number three, let us stop with the victim shaming. All right? Let us stop with the victim shaming. Let's just put that to an end. Okay?
Yes.
With regards to anything, whether she is a commercial sex worker or he is a commercial sex worker, whether it's a girl who has stained her dress when it's that time of the month, when she's on her period, whether it is a refugee, whether it is somebody who's a caregiver. Don't victim shame. Help instead. Help them.
Yes.
Help.
I was talking to somebody, Dindi, and I thought this was really, really cool. I don't know the truth of it. I haven't investigated it. I haven't done my research on it. But we were talking about sexual violence against women in Kenya versus sexual violence against women in Rwanda. And this guy was telling me, I don't know how true this is. I haven't researched on it. I don't know. But I was telling this guy, it's really difficult for the woman because she bears the burden of proof is on her. If she's the one who has been assaulted sexually, she goes for the tests. She has to tell her story 599 times. And who knows, maybe you'll believe her, maybe you won't believe her, maybe you'll give her a look, maybe you won't give her a look, maybe you'll say it's because of the short dress, maybe you'll say it's because you were drunk, whatever. But she has to give that story. And then she will go to court. And after she has given her story again, she is going to be cross-examined. And this guy, the accused person, is open to ask any question. And sometimes it is really difficult when you see the power play between the survivor and the perpetrator, the accused person. It is really heartrending as the survivor is being traumatized a second time, and yet the law will allow the accused person to ask any question. And some questions really, 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 they are just, how many times did I rape you? Does it matter? How many, and I have had adults asking children, do you think I can fit in you? Like, and that is, it is, anyhow, this guy was saying that in Rwanda, women are protected so well that if a woman walked up and said to your employer, for example, that this pregnancy belongs to this guy, by the time you have to, the burden of proof is on the man. But meanwhile, your salary is already getting deducted for maintenance and upkeep. Already, so afadhali kesi baadaye afadhali wangwe pole ulikatwa, but then that is already happening, and that just that knowledge keeps people on the alert that hey, I can be accused. Hey, I could end up in bigger trouble just for talking to you a certain way, handling you a certain way, disregarding consent. I can actually be in so much trouble. In Kenya, it is the other way around, where it is one after the fact. And I don't know what we can do to raise a voice and just try and change even that. The Sexual Offences Act has come a long way. It has really come a long way, and yay, Kenya, yay. But then we still have so much more to do, and not necessarily at the point of legislation.
No.
At home, where you are at. Right next to you in your workplace. There's so much we can do to protect and to teach other people to protect, to respond, to prevent, to recognize gender-based violence. And this world, quite honestly, it has enough wars of itself with all kinds of epidemics and pandemics happening and all of that. We really do not need gender-based violence. This is something that is within our control. It is something that we can do something about. And so that's my call. That's, my call to everybody. What can you do? Ask yourself, what can you do? Not from a point of helplessness, but a point of looking for solutions, for creative, innovative ways. What can you do about it? Dindy, your remarks?
Let me pick it up from what you said, Rhoda. What can you do? You can do something.
Yes.
You can. There are ways in which we can report. You can, if it's a child-related violent act, you can call 116, the child helpline. You can go to a police station. I know at police stations in Kenya, we have gender desks, very specific gender desks that handle gender-based violence cases. If you are not able to go there, you can call the police station. They have a new toll-free number, 1195. You can call any of us. You can report it to an adult.
Yeah.
If that adult does not listen or does not act, go to the next adult. If that next adult does not act or respond properly, keep going. keep reporting.
Yes.
And if you are a duty bearer, you have a responsibility. In fact, all of us are duty bearers. For as long as you are an adult,
Yes.
you are a duty bearer.
Mm.
You can do something. Don't prevent, allow the victims or survivors to actually tell their stories and believe them, and don't victim shame them. Listen to them and act and assist them. That's Merali call, end the violence already. Ish.
Yeah. Ish. Hey.
Yes.
Ukisikia Dindi amesema ish, it's over, people. It's over. Amesema ish. Listen, there's only so much we cannot exhaust this topic. There's only so much we can talk about. Thanks, Cindy. Thanks, Judy. Thanks, Nadida. Thanks, Kiponda. Share. Thanks everybody who's watching and you haven't commented. Share this video. We have not exhausted the topic, the subject. We haven't, but maybe there's something that someone will hear, and it will move them a certain way. Thank you, Rehab. Thank you so much. Share it. Share this video. Like our pages. Get information out there. Share widely, sana sana, and let's just. It starts with a mama. It starts with a mama, and then it becomes a big bang. It starts with a mama, and there wouldn't be an ocean if there wasn't a drop of water. It starts with a drop of water.
Yes.
So what can you do online? Share information, share this video, share, like our pages, do all of these things, talk about it. Thank you, Nyokabi. And let's drop ocean.
Yeah.
Drop.
And please, just like Rhoda has said, follow our pages. Suruvi Homecare Services is on Twitter, is on Facebook, is everywhere. Yeah. He's on Instagram also. We go East Africa, we're on Facebook, and there's a YouTube channel. So please subscribe and follow and hit that like button. I never thought I'd say that. Hit the like button, subscribe, but much more than that, guys, let's end the violence. Let's just end it. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you to everyone who's joined us today.
Ni hayo tu kwa sasa. There's no other way to end this. Just ni hayo tu kwa sasa.
Rhoda, it's always a pleasure being here with you. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your Saturday. Stay safe. Keep another person safe.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Cheers.